Hi guys, how do you lie but pretend that you aren't? Well, one way is to claim that you don't recognise the framing of the question or the figure that's been presented to you. So following the fib that Rishi Sunak used as a cornerstone of his debate strategy, the idea that Labour would put up working families' taxes by £2,000, the Conservatives have come in for a bit of flack over it. It seems some very dodgy bookkeeping was used to come up with the amount, which was described as nonsense by one senior civil servant who helped draft the figure. Here Tory Minister Bim Afolami was called out by Sophy Ridge over the lie, and it didn't go well.
You're saying that a Labour government would put up taxes by £2,000 per household. How much has tax gone up under the Conservatives over the last parliamentary term per household?
Well, it's difficult to calculate because, of course, it's a blended. You have to think.
I'll give you the answer. Since 2019. According to our economics and data editor, Ed Conway, and analysing OBR figures, taxes has gone up £13,000 per household since 2019. And £2,000 sounds like a bit of a bargain in comparison, doesn't it?
Well, what I know is that if you look at the real disposable income, i.e. the amount of money people have at the end of the week, at the end of the month.
No, we're talking about tax. You're talking about how much tax would go up under Labour. This is really important. I'm not talking about disposable income, I'm talking about tax. This is what you want to base this election on, right? This is why you're talking about Labour's tax plans. Tax went up £13,000 per household over the last parliamentary term under the Conservatives.
No, I'm afraid I don't recognise that number, frankly, because I've never seen that calculation. What I know is that the real disposable income, the amount of money that actually somebody's left with, which is really the key thing if you're talking about the finances of my household, yours, or anybody else's, at the end of the week, the end of the month, is higher, if you compare it, for example, to 2010, over £1,000 higher. That's after inflation, after costs, after the war in Ukraine, after COVID, over £1,000 higher now than it was in 2010. I do not recognise the 13,000 number that you've said.
Okay. So first of all, he started the interview by not knowing how much the Tories had increased taxes by. He was asked, and he was like, well, it's complicated. No, he didn't know. He could have just said, look, I don't know. He could have been honest and says, I don't know. But he couldn't be honest because that would be a problem for a Tory. So instead he was like, well, it's complicated. And then Sophie said, it's £13,000. Then he jumped to, well, I don't recognise that figure. How can you not recognise the figure if you don't know what the actual figure is? And notice that he didn't push back on the figure. He didn't say, actually, that figure is wrong. Because he can't say that figure is wrong because he doesn't know how much it was. This guy is a member of the Treasury. He's not some backbench MP. He's a minister. And for the Treasury, and he doesn't know how much tax has increased, or he pretends not to know how much tax has increased since 2019. 13,000. So he knows how much the taxes would be increased by a Labour government, knows precisely this information. Obviously it's a lie, but he knows precisely how much it is, but he doesn't know how much his own department has increased taxes on people since 2019. That's so strange, isn't it? Why the hell are you doing interviews if you don't know how much your government has increased taxes by, and you seem to know how much hypothetically the Labour Party would, or a Labour government would? Now, he also tried to redirect the conversation about, wages and after disposable income after tax. But that's not the point that was raised in the debate. The debate was a Labour government would increase your taxes by £2,000. Well, the Conservatives have increased your taxes by £13,000. That's an actual figure. Once again, if it was not an actual figure, it was not real, then the Tories could push back on it and say, no, it's wrong. But they haven't. They either haven't because they're afraid, or they haven't because they haven't got the data themselves. Well, which is it? So it's great that there are journalists like Sophy Ridge who push back like this. This is what's necessary. Because what the Tories have been trying to do during this election campaign, and you're going to see more of it, is throw out lies, hope that they stick, hope that people don't challenge them, hope the journalists don't challenge them, and then get away with it. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.